Interesting, right? Okay, so today is actually pretty good because y'all get to see firsthand how a lot of this shit comes up here on Versus, right? So, I'm watching TV, right? And as I'm watching TV, I'm scrolling through my phone or whatever. And I came across this discussion that I think Shannon and Skip had on their show Undisputed over FS1. And Madden had released their Ring of Honor. And Shannon was pointing out the fact that they left Michael Vick off it, right? It's like, Like, I agree with him. Like, how can you leave Michael Vick off the Madden Ring of Honor? Like, that nigga, you know what I'm saying, one of the reasons why you even played with the Falcons at that time. So it got me thinking, right? Right now, from a hip-hop entertainment, especially from a black person's perspective, right? Atlanta is pretty much the spot right now for all things entertainment, as far as like music, TV, all that shit, right? So I'm really thinking from a sports point of view, right? Speaking on the Falcons, and it led me to this topic right here. Which player had the biggest impact on the city of Atlanta out of Michael Vick versus Deion Sanders? And I was like, oh shit, that has to be on Versus. That got to be on Versus. So without further ado, Michael Vick versus Deion Sanders for which player did the most for the city of Atlanta. Chill. See you on the other side.
Something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there.
Nah, I definitely agree with that shit. Damn, Beretta, man. Fuck. Bro, I know you got bicycle, man, but you gotta think sometimes. Shit. Some of this shit don't even call for. Bro, I was talking to my suckers, I'm the only one who listen mirror on the wall. Who the realest nigga in it?
Boy, you don't get one like this every day. This one was just right off the dome. So, let's start with Michael Vick. Oh, shit. I think it was, maybe early 2000s, right? The Falcons were, I don't want to say laughingstock of the NFL, but it wasn't a whole lot going on, you know what I mean? Now, because obviously, if y'all notice, I like red, I wear a lot of red. I like the uniforms, you know what I'm saying? I like those, I like the throwback joints, that old Dirty Bird shit, you feel me? I mean, now, don't get me wrong, now, Atlanta wasn't always like garbage on the football tip, right? I remember they did have a lot of good teams, you know what I mean? But that early 2000 rejuvenation with Michael Vick wasn't on just like some football shit. It's like, at the time, I will put it like this. What the black quarterback was to the NFL, Michael Vick was an alien. You know what I mean? What I mean by that is that shit wasn't supposed to be like that. The closest thing before that would have been something like Warren Moon maybe. I wouldn't say Donovan McNabb. A lot of people say that because he was more, but none of that shit was nowhere near what Vick did, right? Now, at this same particular time that this shit is happening, right, Atlanta started to take off as a hip-hop cultural icon, this, that, and the third, wale. So the timing and the way everything manifested itself really helped aided the city to unbelievable proportions, right? And I'm talking about, bro, that bill was lit. I'm talking about, it hadn't got to the point where it wasn't so much about wins and losses. Like Superdome, not the Superdome, the Georgia Dome. They had the Georgia Dome. That bitch was pipe, you know what I'm saying? Like, motherfucker would come in that bitch to see Vic, man. It's like, that nigga would come in, and I give you this, right? Because I seen it when he was at Virginia Tech. Obviously, they was in the ACC. I'm a Seminole, and I hated that shit because that motherfucker was hard to stop. He remind me, I know a lot of y'all Seminole fans will remember this. Peter Ward had very good feet. Nigga wasn't fast. I ain't say he was fast. Had good feet. the difference between having good feet and being fast, like, I'll give you an example. The Bernius Coles, fast, you know what I'm saying? The nigga Tyreek Hill, fast, you know what I'm saying? Niggas fast. Niggas with good feet don't necessarily have to be fast, but they can, you know what I'm saying? They can do some, like, juke move, that type of shit. Big was a combination of both. That's what made that shit look crazy. Because the nigga could run fast and he had good feet. But to top all that shit off, to make that shit as unorthodox and alien as it could possibly be, this nigga was the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? You used to seeing that shit at tailback. You get a special guy or a receiver running punts back and shit like that. But the quarterback? That nigga supposed to be back there throwing the ball. And the nigga was left-handed. So what I'm saying is all this shit to a nigga eyeballs looked at alien. This was some shit that's, whoa, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? It was electrifying, spectacular. It was must-watch TV. You know what I mean? It was like a whole resurgence of a franchise for the Falcons, but it transcended just the Falcons, and that whole city was feeding off that vibe, you know what I mean? And it was like, that shit was lit, man. That nigga had so many, like, highlight reels and all of that, so it put Vic on a level that me personally, I don't think Vic was ready for. You know what I mean? Because the shit was so new, it was so different, so many people wanted it, they craved it, that they threw a bunch of money at him. You know what I mean? Bunch of money at him, you know what I mean? And it was like, yeah, they wanted him to develop into a quarterback, and like, but at the same time, it's like this. It's two different ways that shit go on a professional sports level, right? The most common and most mundane answer that people gonna give you is it's about winning. We want to win, yes. We want to win. We want to take our team to the Super Bowl, yada, 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 yada. Which I'm not saying that's false. What I'm saying, keep this in mind. For the public, for the consumer, right? You seeing it as a football game. A game where somebody wins, somebody loses. But for the people involved who collect their paycheck, that is their job. They go to work for monetary gain. Put it to you like this. If you had a job, right? And where you work at, right? There's a lot of other locations of that same company that you work for that do better than what your location does. Does that shit affect your paycheck? Like, does that shit make you feel like, oh, fuck it, man, you know what I'm saying? We got to do better because over here in Nashville, they doing such and such. Over here in fucking West Tennessee, they doing such and such. Or do you come to work, do your job, and collect your check? And that's the majority of how that shit really go. The average, they come in there, look, hey, man, we win, cool. I would love to win. But right now, man, count my ducats. You know what I'm saying? So on that particular level, the marketing it blew up in Atlanta. So it's like, if you an owner or if you anybody on the business side, yeah, you want to win. I'll give you another prime example. I know y'all Cowboy fans might jump down my throat about this shit. Jerry Jones, right? One of the greatest owners ever. Them boys ain't won a Super Bowl since, the 90s? Guess who's the most profitable franchise in the world? That is Cowboys. You know why? Because the priority. The players and all, they gonna tell you they want to win. It's about winning. But the truth is, it's about marketing. It's about how popular you are, you know what I'm saying? How current, how relevant. And at that particular time, I don't think shit was more relevant than Michael Vick, man. Like I said, this nigga was a walking, talking, spectacular eye candy for, you know what I'm saying? No homo, I ain't trying to say it like on no weird like shit like that, but you couldn't take your eyes off of bro, like, cause it's like on any particular play, you think this nigga finna get sacked. Nigga done broken and ran for like 70, 80 yards, you know what I mean? Then on top of that, nigga was hanging out, you know what I'm saying? You see this nigga on videos and shit, man. Nigga went to kind of feel, cause I mean, bro, listen, they throw you that big contract, they throw you that money, you the man in a big urban city like Atlanta where it's jumping out from the hip hop scene, you a star. You a fucking mega star, bro. You go wherever, boy, the motherfucker fucking with you heavy, right? And I think that also kind of started the downfall because what ends up happening, right, is you kind of get the sense of that's going to be your life forever. And that nothing can, like, undo that or change that or why. Now, obviously, because we talking about Michael Vick right now, we also have to bring up the whole dogfight situation, which I think was fucked up. Mike should have been more smarter. But really, that was America's way of saying, we don't like that shit. You're getting a little too big. And if it was done in a way like that it was kind of more, not to say anything, you know, racial or like that, but if it was done where it wasn't so much hip hop, so much like swag, I don't think they would have went at Vic so hard. But Atlanta was so hip hop, Vic was so hip hop, the big chains, big icy diamonds and shit. So like I felt like they was waiting on something that they could come and bring this nigga down to earth. And his homeboys and cousins, all I'm gonna say on that is that was some bullshit. That was some bullshit, man. For that nigga to look out for y'all the way he did, and y'all threw him under the bus like that, man, you supposed to eat that shit, man. This man making fucking 7-figure checks, man. What the fuck wrong with you, man? Anyway, I digress. We talking about who did the most for City of Atlanta. So I'm saying all of that to illustrate that this nigga Michael Vick came to the ATL and turned the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? That nigga was something that the NFL hadn't seen before, especially not behind the center on no quarterback shit. You feel me? Now, obviously, since then, we didn't had Lamar Jackson and some others, Kyler Murray, a few other dynamic quarterbacks, but Vick was that first one that was, like I say, not just fast, not just good feet, but both. You know what I mean? So he definitely did a lot for the city of Atlanta. Now let's talk about this nigga across from him in this discussion, Mr. Primetime himself. But like this for me, right? I be as objective as possible, and I try to make sure that I give all the facts before I get to opinionated stuff, right? But everything that I just said about Michael Vick, right? Everything was very well documented, very well laid out. He had swag, charisma, all of that. This nigga prime time. From the time that nigga stepped foot on the campus in Tallahassee, Florida, motherfucking Florida State University, right? Dion was gonna be a star wherever he went. You know what I'm saying? Spoiler alert, you know what I'm saying? I gotta throw this nigga out there. We're gonna have some shit coming later on about the college football and all of that shit. But I didn't already make the case that out of the Florida teams, Dion, to me, was the best athlete to come from any Florida college. So I know y'all gonna do, what the fuck? But think about it now. I'm not saying the best team and all of that, because I agree that the 2001 Miami Hurricane team probably was the best college football team, even though I'm a Seminole. But the greatest athlete, just athlete, one single player. You can say the Charlie Wards, a lot of people gonna say a lot of these other names. But Dion, from a Florida school, Deion Sanders was the #1 athlete. But we talking about Atlanta. Now the reason it's so captivating this Dion thing, right? Dion walked in that bitch like, I've been here. You know what I mean? And obviously he played for different teams, but we specifically speaking about Atlanta. Now, I just illustrated how Vic was something a motherfucker never seen before at the quarterback position, right? Because, you know, niggas have good feet, niggas was fast, this and that. Some Dion had, though, that was a little bit different, right? Some shit that made me fall in love with niggas the first time I seen the shit. Showmanship. His showmanship was ridiculous, you know what I mean? It's one thing to get in an opponent's head. We trash talking back and forth, you know what I'm saying? Man, I'm gonna shut you down. You ain't gonna get shit. Da 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 da. You ain't gonna catch nothing on me. Yada yada yada. That's all well and cool, cause that's between you and the other player, the opponent. The people in the crowd don't really get that. Now, this nigga done fucked around and caught a pick, right? Okay, boom. You already he talking shit, so you mad, you trying to hit him. But not only did this nigga not ran you, this nigga done started doing some shit like that. And I'm talking about he on a like, bro, that shit blew the fuck out of my mind. Cause this nigga is on the NFL stage. I ain't talking about after he scored a touchdown, but he dancing. He dancing on his way to the touchdown. Nigga holding the ball back, looking at niggas like, catch me if you can type shit. One of the fastest motherfuckers that ever played. I'm quite sure nowadays they got so many different metrics of how they rate, speed, and time 40s. One of the rumors was, because like I said, I was a jit when the combine happened that he went to. Say, buddy showed up, no warm up, no nothing, some music and shit playing, hopped out, ran the 40, left that shit. You know what I'm saying? One of the fastest times. You feel me? And just to throw this out, even though we talking about the Falcons, right? What also I gotta consider in this discussion, the nigga also played for the Braves. Oh my God, like, come on, bro. Like, this nigga is on the motherfucking athletic spectrum with only people of the likes of, I would say maybe a Bo Jackson, maybe a couple of others, but I'm talking about to play both sports. I mean, and really, like, I seen a negative information. Dion was one of the only ones to catch an interception, to run a punt back, score a touchdown, catching as a receiver. He played both sides of the ball, too. People forget that. And I think he either hit a home run or did something big in baseball all in the same week. All in the same motherfucking week now. You know what I mean? So, Dion was like stupid with that shit. Now, Dion did his shit before Vic got to Atlanta. So, for the purposes of the discussion, we focusing on which one had the biggest impact on Atlanta. Now, that's tough because at the time Dion was turned up in Atlanta, Atlanta hadn't quite grew into the hip-hop epic center that it turned into later. For example, like early 90s, late 80s, hip-hop was ruled by either New York or over in Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like down south was kind of knocking at the door, hadn't got there. You know what I'm saying? I think it wasn't until like maybe late 90s when the South really kind of boomed. Like I say, Outkast and a couple other guys really was the ones that kind of kicked in the door for Atlanta. But I think by then, Dion had already went to, I think it was San Francisco. You know what I'm saying? So his time at Atlanta wasn't the hip-hop mega city that it was when Mike Vick was there. So that is a very big point to bring out. Now, doesn't take away shit this nigga did on the field. Because as far as style, grace, charisma, Dion is the ultimate. Nigga, prime time. Prime time. That nickname sticks to this day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Prime time. Like, electrifying wasn't even the word. Showmanship wasn't even the word. Him and Andre Rison used to go at it all the time. Because Dion one of those flamboyant, flashy type motherfuckers that he gonna make you not like that shit, right? But you can't fucking really do nothing about that shit. Nigga used to, like, bait quarterbacks. What I mean by that is, like, nigga playing off the receiver. This nigga way over there. You think this nigga outside to play. This nigga come out of nowhere and motherfucking jump from out of nowhere catching that shit. And the nigga speed was... Listen, understand this, right? True enough, Vic was the quarterback. He behind center, so he orchestrated offense. This nigga Dion play cornerback, kick return, punt return. Nigga play on fucking offense. Wide receiver, slot receiver, all that shit. At the same time playing Major League Baseball. Bro, Dion's on some other shit, man. And I'm talking about showing out and stunting balling with that shit. So when it comes down to that, I think Dion is on his own level with that. Now, as it pertains to this argument about the city of Atlanta, if I'm being completely fair, to summarize, to do my breakdown, let me hit my joint so I can really explain what I'm trying to say. The one to me that was the most electrifying, that probably electrified the city the most, I hate to say it because, like I said, I got to be objective when I do these shows, would probably have to be Michael Vick. And it sounds so, because, like, how could anything be more electrifying than Dion Primetime Sanders? Like, and that's my dude. Like, Dion's, like, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't put nobody over Dion. But just to answer this question as honestly as I could, the reason why, and it's only by a niche, that I would say the Michael Vick experience was a little bigger in the city of Atlanta than the Dion, right? It's because Dion also did that same shit in San Francisco. He did that shit in Dallas, obviously. He did that shit for a little while in Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, when you think of Dion, you're not regulated just to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? He also was played baseball, and that's the other reason why I had to put some more points in Dion's category, because not only did he play football, but he also played for the Braves. But what cancels that out is baseball ain't no way near as attractive and popular as the game of football. But the biggest difference, and the biggest reason why I have to give it to Michael Vick in that case, is the timing. The timing of it. And that really don't have nothing to do with either player, because they can't control when they born. They can't control when they, you know what I'm saying, what era they played in. But the time that Vick hit Atlanta was when Atlanta was turning into the Atlanta we know today. The hip-hop fucking super city, you know what I mean? If Atlanta was what Atlanta was while Dion was there, I wouldn't think this would even be a topic that I could even do, because it'd be hands down Dion, because Dion was built for shit like that, that showmanship. Could you imagine, like, you know what I'm saying, going to the club? I couldn't imagine. But Vick, and honestly, I think Dion would have handled it better. Like I said, I think all that shit was too big for Vick. Like I said, man, he's a little kid from Virginia, you know what I mean? Like, I think it was Richmond or something like that. I'm not sure, you know what I'm saying, I don't misquote me and look it up and say, oh man, he was wrong about that. I'm just talking about when he hit Atlanta. Atlanta's platform, the stage of Atlanta, had then got so big and the spotlight was so hot that it made Vick a celebrity of epic status that I'm not sure he was ready to embrace. Dion walked in Tallahassee knowing he was a superstar, the biggest thing since sliced fucking bread. By the time he made it to the NFL, he telling them bitches what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Look, man, I'm doing such and such. I can't practice on this day because I got to go play baseball. Like, this nigga calling the shots as a rookie. So I think the spotlight would not have been too big for Dion. And I think Vick's downfall was not only that he had got so hot, but he kind of fell victim to the fact that he think everybody fuck with him just because he on top. That's the misconception that most people, not just black, but just people have in general. Most of the time, if you on top, people don't really fuck with you. They really don't like you. You trending, you know what I'm saying? And what people want to do is they want to be with the in crowd. If the in crowd considers you the hot thing, then most people are going to consider you the hot thing just to fit in with everybody else. They ain't got shit to do with you. It's because they trying to be with the majority. Like, they want to be like, okay, yeah, this right here is the cool thing right now, so I'm hip. I'm with the cool thing. So yeah, I'm fucking with this nigga, right? But as soon as that dynamic change and people ain't fucking with you, they gonna jump on that same majority bandwagon of the people that's demolishing you. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I think the Michael Vick was a little bigger for the city of LA just because of the timing. That's all. Just because of the timing. But he turned that bitch up now. And to Shannon Sharp's point about them leaving him off that fucking Madden, well, I think it was the Ring of Honor. That's some bullshit, right? Because if you talking video game wise, at that time, that's the only reason you played with the fucking Falcons. Because of it. You know what I'm saying? Just like with Detroit, the only reason you played with Detroit back in like the early, I think it was the early 90s, late 80s, was because of fucking Barry Sanders. Just like with that old techno ball. I don't know if y'all play that old techno shit with Bo Jackson. That nigga was unstoppable. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel like they was probably holding the dog fighting shit against him, and people don't even realize like it wasn't even him fighting the dogs. It was his homeboys. Like, you get what I'm saying? It's like the only thing you could really fault Big for is not distancing himself. And I know everybody want to talk this keeping it real shit. Don't forget where you come from and yada 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 yada. Look, man, and this for everybody out there. If you go to a job and you make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, right? Then all of a sudden you get a better job and you making multi-millions a year. You don't have the same surroundings. You don't have the same lifestyle because it has upgraded. Now, does that mean you have to be a different person? No, it don't mean you got to be a different person. But does it mean you need to change your surroundings? Yes, the fuck it do. That's the dumbest shit in the world to sit there and say, I'm going to keep it real because now I'm worth multi-millions, but I'm going to hang with all of this lesser shit and subject myself to all this shit that I done worked so hard to get away from. If the motherfuckers trying to do better and trying to come up out that shit, you bring them with you. If they still on that shit, leave their ass the fuck down. You get what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's what that shit be by. Bro, ain't no loyalties and no motherfucking shit like that, bro. It's like this. If that shit was on the other end, you think the motherfuckers gonna break their neck and risk their career for you? Hell no. The average person gonna tell you, man, fuck you. I don't know you. Who is you? Where I know you from? You know what I'm saying? So, I just think Mike Vick was a little naive on that, but I do think that he did a little bit more for the city of Atlanta because of the timing. So this one was fun. And like I said, this one just came up off the dome because I was seeing the shit about their discussion, and I thought that would have been a good topic for verses. So I'm going to see y'all next week with a just as equally interesting topic. And we're going to keep this shit rocking every Friday at 8 o'clock. Thank y'all for watching S.S.B.G Network. Come see me again next week. I'll be here.